Franchise has given me everything.
You know, typically in our community, you're really successful when you have a second location. Like I opened up in this place, right? And God forbid if you do a third location, you're praised, right? Yeah. On the back end, you're probably super burned out, right? Super tired.
We have businesses, but we are not thinking about how can we expand using other people's money. I've converted regular restaurants that were doing 20, 30 grand a month in revenue. Within 3 months, they're doing 175,000.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Millionaire Money Show, man. And again, eventually it's gonna get old, but for now, I'm gonna keep referencing the because we are in the studio. And man, today's gonna be a really special episode because it's not something that I see talked about at large, generally speaking, and definitely not something I see talked about at large within our community. So you guys are gonna learn how an everyday entrepreneur who's absolutely killing it can take their business to the next level in a way that you might not think through becoming a franchise. So with no further ado, the founders of Black Box Franchise. How y'all feeling, man?
Feeling great, man. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys have a third partner, so I'll be remiss if I didn't shout her out. So small, funny story, actually. I just moved here from Charlotte not so long ago, and I felt like I was, the older I got, I was like, I need to be a little bit more limbo. A little bit more loose and stretch a little bit more. And so I found a local place that actually is like a stretch studio. Kika, stretch studio. And then I met you probably maybe 6 months later at Urban Golf Weekend, and then connected the dots. It's like, oh shoot, y'all park.
Yes.
Right. So that's Empower Franchising, right? So that location was in Charlotte. I'm not sure how many locations there are all across the country, but it was super cool to connect that dot that a place I went to, didn't know who started it, was able to do so through the power of franchises. So, but yeah, man, how you guys doing?
Man, I feel good. Dallas has been good to us so far.
Yeah, for better or for better.
We enjoying the city a little bit. Had some good food and some good drink last night, so we chilling.
Yeah, though with you having a restaurant yourself, are you overly critical of like establishments and their operating?
Absolutely. I walk in immediately, I look at the lights, I look at the cleanliness, I look at the timing. If everything's perfect, I'm like, man, that's too much food. Their food costs too high. I feel like I know if you're gonna make it or not just by my looking at my plate.
Yes. Yeah, same with the business owner thing. You always looking at like what could be better and what's doing great. So
yeah, opportunity, right? And so this is you guys' first time, on our podcast. And I know you guys I've been seeing y'all running around. Y'all been doing a lot of great things. But for the benefit of our audience who may not know, who you guys are, tell us a little bit about running your backstory and ultimately how that culminated to creating Black Box Franchise.
All right, so I'll start. I'm a second generation franchisor. My family founded Golden Crust, which is the largest Black franchisor in the country right now. I had the privilege of being the president of Golden Crust for the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And it was one of those rags to riches, come from Jamaica to here, no money in your pocket type of story that my pops and my mom has started. So now it's on to the second generation. So I grew up in the franchise industry. Franchise has given me everything, in my life, like literally everything. Every education, every all my kicks, everything in life. I would like to franchise. Keek and I spoke at InvestFest 2 years ago. We were on the franchise stage.
Okay.
With Don Poole. He was the facilitator of that. And I found out who she was, the founder of Kika Stretch, one of the first African-American women ever franchisors in the country.
Yeah.
We had a full room. We talked. Kika hit me up a couple weeks later. I was actually trying to create a franchise development firm for Black people for the past year, but I just had it on paper. I wasn't executing, right? Yeah. So Kika hits me after InvestFest, and she's like, Daren, I think I want to do something, and I want to be a franchisor and a developer. And I said, yo, what's up? Like, I was thinking about the same thing.
Yeah.
And I tell her this funny story because I was like, Kika, if we can't come to terms, I was in my basement one day. I said, man, Kika and I don't partner. She's going to have to get these hands too. I told her that story at the time. So anyway, long story short, so we ended up, partnering up, and should ride in jail and speak for himself. So now we have Black Box Franchising, where we develop regular small business owners and we curate them to become franchisors.
Love it. Yeah, my entry into being an entrepreneur was being a franchisee. So I got started with the company called F45 out in New Jersey. It was a gym joint. Yeah, that's all steady. Yeah, they had one next door to my crib. I was living in LA. Yeah, going crazy in there. Going ape, panel like CrossFit, Highwood. Serious. Jumping. It was very crazy. My intro wasn't because of the fitness side. I understood the business side, and I always understood franchising. My jobs was in working in franchising, so to me this was logic to open a franchise. And then 2 years after being in the business, I think COVID-19 happened and the world went crazy. But for me, it was like a blessing. I started getting tons of calls of who, what, when, where, and how, and what should I do. So as a response, I started doing small business consultant where I was using franchise tools to actually help support these businesses. However, I didn't know the dot of like how to actually turn a business into a franchise. That came through the partnership that I learned later on. And ironically, Kika, her business was in a neighboring town. I just knew that this young Black woman was killing it. I had to meet her. So that's how we met. Kika brought me on more so with the thought process of, I guess, marketing and like, kind of connected with the business, but later on kind of connected the dots that, oh, this guy actually understands franchising. So that's my journey here.
Oh, for sure. So entrepreneurship is like big in the Black community now. Yeah. Right. Which is, I think, is a great thing. But oftentimes we're taught like to go start your own business, follow this dream, start something with no systems, no processes. You don't know what you're doing. So why do you think that franchising isn't talked about as an option to start a business? Number one. And then number two is, what is the value of starting a business from scratch and, going into a franchise as a new business owner?
I think it's just the knowledge. People just don't know what franchising is. Like I would go into one of my restaurants and say, "Oh yeah, I'm the franchisor of Golden Crust," and they say, "Oh, which one?" And I'm like, all of that we are the umbrella, right?
Yeah.
And specifically our community, they're not necessarily a franchising, but it's all knowledge. It's not because of aptitude, tenacity, creativity, because we doing it.
Yeah.
We have businesses, but we are not thinking about how can we expand using other people's money, right? And that's what franchising is, because the franchisee built out the other stores and restaurants. They pay you for royalties. It's purely a knowledge play.
I go, outside of knowledge, and I agree with that. You're just not really taught to go into franchising. Yeah. Typically in our community, I guess you're deemed successful when you have a business, right? Like I have a business and look at this nice shiny tool that's doing really well. And then you're really successful when you have a second location. Like I opened up in this place, right? And God forbid if you do a third location, you're praised, right? Yeah. On the back end, you're probably super burned out, like super tired, working at all three locations, working out wherever you just actually promoted yourself to what they call a district manager, right? It is crazy because that's promoted in our community. I don't shame it. I think it's just the nurture or the nature of how we present success. However, we just provide a different option of saying, hey, wait, franchise. And let me show you what that means and how do you actually do that and how can you become a player and create some real generational wealth.
I love it. Lorder asked about the benefits as a franchisor. Yeah, people opening up your brand, whatever that is, and it's their money. The franchisees,
You feel like that?
the franchisees are paying you for your brand. So you're not, a lot of times people are like, oh, that's you. I want to build a third location. I'm like, what?
Right, yeah. It's can we dive? Yeah, and y'all guys are great. I'm gonna say the same thing. So like, let's just make the distinction real quick because I think there's two ways to approach it, right? It's like as a franchisee, right? You go to the Chick-fil-A, hey, vet me out. I want to do my own location, right? And that's great, right? Because you get to leverage somebody else's brand. You get to you hit the ground running, and people are coming to that restaurant not because of who you are, but because of who Chick-fil-A, right? And as a franchisor, you said above that, and you're the one who's giving the permission to say, you know what, hey, you can open this restaurant. So what you guys are helping people out is becoming franchisors.
Correct. That's right.
Okay, cool. So let's dive into that a little bit.
All right. So this distinction is always necessary to grab. So from a franchisor standpoint, this is just for all the listeners who are muddy in the room. Yeah. You are the umbrella brand. So you come up with your own brand. You've got your SOPs in place. You've got your marketing in place, your finances in place. Now you want to continue to expand, right? You want to open more locations. Now you get some franchisees, which essentially will carry out your name. So as a franchisor, you only have a couple obligations, right? It is to build a brand, have people buy into that brand, but you got to give them the game. Your job is to give them the playbook, support them as franchisees.
That means you need to have a playbook. You need to have a
Creative. Okay, so guys, just be clear. You know, a lot of the best recipes are never written down. So they dirt.
No, they'll be the best places. I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
So after that, franchisor gets all their ducks in a row, and it is something that can be replicated easily, and there's a system in place. This is the key word. Now you can go out and sell your brand, and those are the franchisees that come in, and they pay you, and unless your franchise fee, to get down with you. They like your systems. They don't want to start from scratch.
Okay. We're gonna do a little case study at the end of this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Here's it. Same thing, because I was about to go to it right now. Right? Now, you can't do it. Get in check. I thought you about to. Well, hold on. Ask your poor person. Yours. All right, so no, thank you for that distinction. And so, like, if you already have a business, right, and it's like, okay, I think you got a pretty good business. Is there a world where you can become a franchise from just an existing business? You just like you're a regular entrepreneur. Like, can you franchise your business?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's the reality. And I don't want to take away from that fluff that a lot of businesses exist and they're doing well, whether it's from an operational standpoint or from a financial standpoint, but they don't really even understand or know that they can scale. And maybe their growth is not something that they want to physically do, but they want their brand to continue on. And
I think it's so freeing to understand that you can expand your brand, but it doesn't have to be all on you.
it doesn't have to be on you.
Because it's like, this first thing I'm doing is working well. I love it. I want to open another one, but like, do I have the time, energy, and money or mental fortitude to do it? Well, you don't have to.
And let's free up your creative space, right? Like, let's just play around, for example, right? I have a great brand. Let's call it a Chicken Shack, and it's doing really well. And I do want to bring in celebrity endorsements. I do want to get NBA teams. I do want to get on TV. I mean, through franchising, one, you're bringing in more capital, but two, that brand exposure, you can get more creative about how you invest your money from a franchisor standpoint to help elevate the brand.
And then everybody wins. Yeah. And how do you know if your business is franchisable? I feel like every business obviously probably isn't franchisable, but how do you, what are some of the key indicators that let you know, like, this is something that you can scale, something that you can,
I'd say conceptually, 99% of businesses are franchisable.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the leader somebody that's willing to learn the franchising game? The leader is somebody that's willing to put systems in place and focus on allowing others to carry out their brands in a systemic way, right? Because most people think about food when they think about franchising. Over 50 cents every dollar in America is spent at a franchise. They usually just think about food. And I think about fast size. I think about UPS. UPS, that's laundry services. People aren't thinking about this. They just think about food, right? Because it's so tangible. But
I think that's what's so powerful about franchising, because it's like, once you establish the brand at the top, like, that's how most people perceive it. They're not perceiving it as, oh, these are independently owned or whatever, right? They're trusting of the brand. Yeah. Okay.
And they buy into not just the brand, they become a part of the ecosystem. I make a joke all the time, but it's really funny. If you go to, if you're in Dallas and you're in New Jersey and you go to McDonald's, you order number one, most people know what that number one is, right? They know it's a Big Mac. It's the same system. So the community, they just behind it builds that ecosystem that now your consumers are just a part of that brand.
And this is a real time revelation I'm having. Franchising is so dope. Well, at least I'm believing it's so dope right now, because like, he kind of takes the marketing off of your plate. Like, when you start a new business, you have to spend so much money on marketing and branding to get your name out there. If you open a franchise on a good block, just back up and watch everybody walk in. He opened a Chick-fil-A up on the right corner. Just get out the way and watch people walk in.
Absolutely. So it's a win-win for both parties, right? As the franchisor, right, you get to expand your brand at scale on somebody else's dime. And as a franchisee, right, you get to step into an established brand that now you're not trying to figure out, how am I going to get my name out?
I opened my fitness center, and this is a true story. It's not that deep. Day one of opening, we got about 50 clients just based off the brand. We're excited that you're here in New Jersey. I know everything about this. By the way, they knew more about the brand than me at that time frame.
So your customers coming in excited, telling you about the brand. You didn't know about, y'all did this? Yeah, I know.
now I'll just add on another story to show you how powerful it is. I had converted regular restaurants that were doing 20, 30 grand a month in revenue. Within 3 months, they're doing 175,000. All we did was change the banner. Regular Jamaican restaurants, you've been there for 20 years now, making between 20 to 30 grand a month. Cool, they're cool. Look at it. They working there every day.
Yeah.
You come in, hey, you want to be a franchisee? Over here, get down with us. Here's our value add. Of course, you do have to pay us ongoing royalties. So, like, there's things you got to do. You got to borrow our playbook, whatever. And within 3 months, we've seen those sales quadruple.
Because we didn't put the banner up. A large Jamaican restaurant, I can't even put the brand, right, that people are already familiar with, puts a process in place. And now the people come to town, they're not, I wonder if the Jamaican spot is new. I've been to Golden Crust over here.
In Texas, in North Carolina, in New York.
I'm sorry, but it happened to me in Chicago. So I used to live on 87th and Stony, and there was a chicken place, but it was not a Harold's. A couple years later, they changed it to a Harold, and then I started going there.
because it had the Harold banner on. I don't know if they changed the kitchen and took that off. But as soon as all the hair was there, I was like, I walk past that place every day.
Trust it. You know what you're gonna get. Yes, the brand equity.
And you're buying results. That's you buying results. Like I laugh because like in high school, I was a kid that always cheated on my test or whatever. I would look over the partner's shoulder and get the answers. And then if I submit that test, I'm gonna get an A, not because I study, because I cheated and got the answers. Franchising is you're getting the answers. You don't have to cheat. All you gotta do is apply all these things and these processes and these procedures, and you're gonna get extra result. That's why it works.
Let's leave clues, and we do a free workshop every week to educate the masses on investing and tax saving. One thing I always say is it's okay to be a copycat, copyright cat.
That's right.
Right, that's it. And that's what school teaches you how to be a terrible entrepreneur. Or don't collaborate, don't like do it all on your own.
You're not upset. And here's the thing. It is a testament when people start to copy you.
Yeah.
That means you're doing something right. If you're doing something that nobody's following you, it's probably not that hot. You see all these huge burger chains coming out. There's 1,000 burger brands, but people will keep coming out with. A, it's working, and B, you follow what works for other people. You're a smart entrepreneur. Just do it better.
How do you maintain the integrity of the customer experience and the product as you scale, right? 'Cause we've all been in some restaurants, like, to your point, one McDonald's is the same as our McDonald's, but there's been other maybe smaller intermediate franchises where it's like, man, I don't hit the same as the one over there. I'll say it the same. How do you maintain the integrity of this client experience or customer experience when you franchise?
So I would say as a franchisor, this is why your systems have to be in place, right? So if you have, we'll use a restaurant as an example. If you've got ingredients and recipes where they have to go buy every single thing and it requires culinary skill, you're going to get some inconsistencies. Or if you focus on the system and you're able to get a proprietary mix. So now we're all using the same things, so it lessens your chance of screwing it up, right? So that's why as a franchisor, you focus on systems. Every day you go to your office, how can I make this system better, more consistent? Obviously, from a client perspective, customer facing, that's just ongoing training. Like when you walk into Daren's Bagels, are they saying, the same line? I don't even care if they're polite. If my line is, hello, welcome to Daren's Bagels, I don't even want you to say, hello, how are you? I want you to say, hello, welcome to Bagels. That is the system. And you have to put that and ingrain that in franchisees' heads.
Yeah.
Because that is the reason why franchises succeed.
And I think that's why, like, there probably a paradigm shift for small business owners because, like, they're very emotional about the business, right? Whereas you look at McDonald's, clearly we all know McDonald's make the best burger, but they have the best business system. Yeah. Right? And it's not to say that that's mutually exclusive, that you can have a great product and have a good business system, but if you want to franchise, you got to over-index on the system, right? And I think that's where probably some entrepreneurs like go wrong is because they're so emotional. Why do it this way? It's like we can't do it that way at scale.
Correct.
Or don't become overzealous, right? Like don't get so excited on, because it's nice to grow, but don't get so excited on, I got 10 people ready to buy into my franchise, I'm taking all of their money. No, because you're growing with your now community, right? So I want to make sure we talked before we got on camera, like, hey, I got a list of 10 things. I need 7 of them to line up with you. Because essentially that's your partnership, right? Because now once you start operating inside this brand, I value your opinion as much as I have opinions on my team. Like we're growing together. So, it really comes down to like picking and, I guess fine tune picking the right franchisees for your brand.
If I want to be a franchisee, right? What kind of price point can I be expecting to have to pay if I want to enter into a particular franchise? And I know it probably vary from place to place, but if you give me a ballpark, just if our listeners like, yo, I don't want to start my own business and have to spend $15,000 on infrastructure and team and systems and marketing. I might just want to take this money and invest in a franchise. But what does that number look like?
So normally you get paid an initial franchise fee as a franchisor. That'll be anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000.
Okay.
That's just to enter the door.
Right. I mean, you got your mind, you're saving a lot to be able to buy that brand.
Correct. That's just to enter the door. One of the costs that I can't tell you right now is what the build out will be. Building out the infrastructure is usually the most costly.
Right. Because you're responsible for getting the building, or getting the leases, getting the.
Right. And find the same way that you.
You have to follow the guidelines, but you got to pay for it.
Okay.
So that's the beauty as a franchisor, right? Where people are expanding and they're paying for it. Ongoing, you got to pay ongoing royalties, which is a percentage of your revenue.
Top line.
And those royalties are normally incremented from 3 to 7%.
Okay.
Then you can pay ongoing advertising fees. That's normally 1 to 3%.
Because the franchisor is responsible for marketing the brand so that people learn more about you.
That's correct. And then there's usually a third fee, a local store marketing fee. That's normally anywhere from 0.5 to 1.5%. Kind of the honor system, like franchisee, we're taking 3% for advertising, but you're supposed to spend 1% at your own store, right? Your own local market, because franchisees know their market better than any franchisee, right? They live there, they grew up there, they know how it works.
Okay.
So those are the normal fees that you pay.
So 30 to 50,000, about 10 to 12% of top line revenue.
Yep, that's about right.
Numbers got, hey, as a franchisor, man, hey, it's scratch, man. Like, look, I saw it going up. It's almost a more evolved thought. I told him about a couple of years ago. I was like, it's something, because we're in that phase now of like, building a sellable enterprise. And like, it's like, yes, we have the podcast. Yes, people know us associates with the brand, but we want them to see this, whether they see us or not, right? And one of the ideas I have is like, we got to have other faces and ambassadors, right, who are representing the brand. But I think what I'm hearing here is like, we could probably take that a step further, right? And it's like, are there financial industry experts who don't have the brand equity power that we had, but they want to serve the same audience, right? But we don't get into this.
But you're thinking correctly, because like entrepreneurs, essentially we kind of got this in common. I just want to know, what are the steps that you took to create this? Like, why podcast? Why do you have webinar? Why do you do this stuff? Now I got all the playbook. I have everything you've done, along with like how to actually do it, which helps me to gain success. Yeah, so as a franchisee, it's like, it makes sense. Yes, it's great for the franchisor. Yeah, that's up to you for creating it. But franchisee is like, I don't have to think about it.
Because I mean, you could blow 100,000 and have no results and zero. I ain't no people.
Who's blown a lot more. But that makes perfect sense.
Usually when I tell people, if you're considering being a franchisee, is like, look at your percentage of royalties and advertising that you have to pay, right? Based on your assumed revenue.
Right.
And now if you take that percentage and look at the number, and let's say it's $7,000 at the end of the month, would you have paid that amount of money for the services that the franchisor is giving you? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. If the franchisor is doing the right thing.
Yeah, and we, in our business, we actually went to Alex Hormozi training not too long ago. And we were asking him questions about his team, but the average business owner spends 20% of their money in marketing.
There you go.
20% there, right? So if you only spend 3% for marketing, like, that's a steal.
It's a win.
Yes, and then as a franchisor, because one of the things we also been, this relevant to us now is building enterprise value, right? And building a sellable, scalable enterprise. Whether you want to sell it or not, what better way to prove that your business is sellable than to have 10, 20, 30 other, people that duplicate what you're doing, right? And it takes a concentration risk off the business.
Now they're blocked into your none of those agreements, franchise agreements of 10 to 20 years.
What?
Yeah. I had franchises around, so I've been a kick. And royalties, I like to say this, royalties are forever. Like a lot of these big...
All right, wait. Hey, okay. So explain that.
So, get your royalties every week, every month. By the way, you have a lot of autonomy as a franchisor. You could do a lot of whatever you want, literally. So if you collect it weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, it's up to you. Yeah. But no matter what, those royalties are coming in forever. Like a lot of these original founders of these big franchise chains, founders aren't here anymore, right? They're not alive, like work anymore, but the royalties...
As long as you got brands, as long as I be dollars on that corner.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Listen, you got my wheel.
Hey, franchisor money is bad. That's better than the Section 8 checks, man.
Yeah, I'm going to add to it because Kika would kill us for not saying this. I think she said it's roughly 33 million small businesses across the USA, roughly. 4,000 of those are franchise brands, like the names, the franchisors. And out of the 4,000, less than 1% are actually Black owned, right? So like, let's let that sit for a second. And it's one of them things where it goes back to your original question, why, right? Lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, and lack of direction, okay? One of the things that we do at Black Box, we're really huge on all three, right? First off, Daren always say that we're not Google warriors. We second generation franchisor. I'm franchisee, successfully operated, sold it, done well. Kika, first ever Black female franchisor. Great accolades, right? Where meaning the process of what we put together is really meant to help a new franchisor successfully thrive, right? And so we help you out with your financials, we help you out with your SOPs, we help you out with your business modeling, we help you out with the legal aspect. We take care of all that while educating you so that when you get into the market as a franchisor, you're not like, okay, I'm a franchisor, what to do. You're prepared. You're ready to run.
Yeah. Can we talk about just what you all do a little bit more and how you all help people? Because like what I'm thinking about it is, even if you came into a situation where you work with Black Box and they help you become a franchise, or even if you don't, they just helped you like better your business, right? Like build an actual enterprise. So I just want to see, like, what does that look like when a new business owner comes to you all like, hey, I want to become a franchisor. What are some of the things you all do? Like, what are some of the first things you all do? And so that's number one. And what are the kind of mistakes you all see when y'all looking at these new businesses?
Yeah, and maybe just take it from A to Z high level. Yeah, when they come in to when they're ready, like what does those high level steps look like?
All right, so when you first come in, we've got a pretty rigorous course, right? And that'll cover regular business principles, financials, marketing, SOPs, all that other stuff. And while you're going through the course, we have experts at every stop. So you'll meet your financial analyst, but he's taking your numbers, but he's showing you what it looks like as a franchisor. That's right. So if you have a P&L, cool, I make $100,000 a month. I assume I'm going to have 5 franchisees every year, and we will flesh that out for you. But it's going to be very real, right? So if you come in and you're upside down, because you got to work backwards. You can't take 5% from a franchisee if you're only making 5%.
Put the right stuff. So you got to be prudent. So it's I want to charge 10%. And ain't no margins here, bro.
Hey, how you gonna do that? So if it makes sense. So we set you up financially and give you like 7 or 8 different models depending on what you want, or what you look like as a franchisor, what you look like as whatever corporate store you're running now, and then we'll give you a consolidated, just so you have an idea. Because you start assuming 5 franchisees a year, if you're charging $30,000 just to get in, and we're not talking about royalties, right? So now you get to see a sense of what the cash flow could look like. So that's the first stop.
And I'm assuming what happens there is that if their business doesn't have the good enough margins to become a franchisor at that point, y'all will help them see where they can cut so that they can, okay, which is helpful.
Yeah, because you guys know assumptions, your budget is as good as your assumptions, right? So if you tell me you have to do a 50% cost of goods, I'm not in there. I'm supposed to be doing 30% on the other stealing whatever. Could we work with that model? Could we work with you? Really think you get that?
I know they're stealing. Numbers, you say it all the time. Yeah.
Look at a pin out. Now they're stealing. Like in 2 seconds, I could tell. I'm like, they're stealing. So we definitely are. So first is that financial stop. So now you go through a course, but you got the experts. So your next stop is your business analyst. Okay, they'll show you who you are, who your competitors are, where you need to position yourself from a social media standpoint, experience standpoint. Hook you up with all that. Then you go and you hit the SOPs. She'll put together all of your SOPs from the beginning to the end. Even if you have SOPs, we're going to elevate in tempo because now we're playing a different league when you're talking about franchising, right? So, and the last stop I have the pleasure of actually doing, I do the legal part also. And because a lot of people don't understand that there's a heavy legal regulation when it comes to franchising. You need a franchise disclosure document, which is 23 items that a prospective franchisee has to look at before they decide whether they want a franchisor. So these are special rules. Every state is different. So we hook you up with all your franchise disclosure documents, your franchise agreements, and you're actually packaged and ready to go.
Gotcha. How long does the process usually take?
I mean, depending on the person, it can be done between 4 to 6 months.
Really? That's bad. No, I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And you asked it, I want to go back. He asked what are the common mistakes that you see. I really think it's important is that a lot of times most small business owners believe that they have to have all this stuff at least decently in place to come to us. Whereas with Black Box, we're kind of the opposite. If you have it in place, great. You're more prepared. We can help you out. We don't have to spend so much time actually, preparing it for you. But we're the place where you can come to help get this in order. Like if you do not have SOPs, but you probably have a successful business that's thriving, like, hey, we help you out with your SOPs. If you do not actually know your numbers or have P&Ls, like we help you out with that stuff as well.
That's what I was saying earlier. I think even if they don't become a franchisor, I think there's so much value.
Absolutely.
In just going from being an entrepreneur to an actual business enterprise owner. And I don't know if y'all have like 2 offers, but I would if I were y'all, I would have a franchisor offer and just to get their business together offer.
We're not right.
For those stay away, you don't get many miles. Yeah. A lot of businesses, when they've been around 15, 20 years, big businesses, the board director says, you know what, I think we want to go public. And then it takes them like 3 years to get ready to do that because they're stay ready. So either if you don't want to be a franchisor, your operations will be better on. you're financially better off if your house is in order. You know, so I find that it's a necessary thing to do regardless whether you want to become a franchise.
That makes sense. Now it's time. Oh, now it's time. Right. That's just.
Yeah, I'll let you own the process.
Yeah, so let's do a somewhat of a live case study, right? So I think you guys have a high level understanding of what we do, but for the benefit of the audience, we'll break it down. Okay. So he's CPA, or financial advisor, or manager, and we came together and we said, hey, how can we kind of make this one-stop shop, right? Almost a fractional family office, if you will, right? People can come in, they can get the taxes done, they can get their financial plan in place, they can get their investments in order, their insurance, all the things, right? But at a fraction of the cost, right? And we know that what we're doing is innovative, right? We get told all the time, like our monthly client goal, or let's say bi-monthly client goal, is most advisors like client goal in totality. Yep. Right? So we know what we're doing is cool, right? And it's innovative. But when we hear what you're saying, we're thinking about, okay, cool. Like how could a business like ours, like just high level, obviously, how could we become franchisable? Right? How could we go to the marketplace and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Advisor, you don't really have that big of a brand, but you're great at what you do. You got all the credentials. You got the alphabet soup behind your name. Like, we could come in and you could leverage our brand, take our systems, and you could scale to the world.
We're going to say it right there.
Oh.
We said, oh, yeah, here. So it's like, damn, this man, hey, I love the studio. Like, I need this where I am in New York, where you could hook me up with your network, because this happens a lot. A lot of brick and mortar. It's like, I can leverage the Melanin Money name, system, current clients. You can go out and you can get clients for me as part of your offering, and charge me for it, right? And you take a percentage of everybody that comes in through my system, because there's two of you. Obviously, you have a good team, but at some point in any business, you could thin out a little bit. So if I want to get down with Melanin Money, I'm Melanin Money in New York. Yeah, I'm all events in New York, all masterminds New York. I got this. Here's y'all 50,000.
Yeah.
And no about that.
But I want to use your systems, right? I want to use your programming that you use to file taxes. I want to use all of your systems that you have in place.
Right.
It's the stuff that nobody sees.
Yeah.
The back of the house, that makes me more efficient.
And that's what I think our secret sauce is, right? Well, to your point, with any franchise, you have proprietary ingredients, right? Is that like, but now it's looking in, it's like, oh, well, their financial advisor doing this, doing that, but it's like there's a machine.
Yeah, and we developing a really high expensive payroll.
Yeah, and there's so much value in all of the lessons and things we had to learn to build that. So like an advisor or CPA team, whatever, they can really benefit from that, right? And I think we're convicted by that thought process, but I don't think we got as far as imagining a world where like we could franchise this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's good, because that goes back to, it's not really just a first thought, right? Not just for you guys, but for a lot of brick and mortars. They just not been thinking that they can franchise. So it's good to open up that ecosystem.
It's crazy. As I said before, that between 50 and 60 cents every dollar is spent on a franchise, and people out there know the franchise game. Yeah, right. I've been in this business a long time. I can name like 5 or 6 black franchisors. That's crazy. Yeah, but yet 50 to 60 cents, depending on what year it is spent on a franchise. Right. So it is something that we need to get involved in, which we all got together to show our folks, educate our folks. Why are we not at the table? I know everybody, I want to be a McDonald's franchise or the Chick-fil-A. Why don't you want to own the entire thing? Right. And collect $100,000, $30,000 a week in royalties without even going to work.
Talking about, hey, listen. Talking about like Hey, can you talk a little bit about the differences between like franchising versus licensing model? What's the difference?
Yes, I mean, they're pretty similar. But the licensing piece, you don't necessarily have to go through the franchise disclosure document. Perhaps it's less federal and state regulation. But from a licensee standpoint, you have a little less control over your licensees. It's a fine line. I've actually seen a lot of businesses get in trouble because they think they're Larry the Sword. They're acting like a franchisor. And they'll come in and they will fine me. So it's usually when you offer your software, cool, pay me a fee, got it, but I'm not going to involve. I'm not having franchise conferences every 2 months, right? I'm not going into your stores and checking up and doing progress reports and all that. It's more of, use what we're using, pay me a fee, and that's it, hands off. Right. So it's less regulated, but people often make the mistake and end up acting like.
Yeah, and I imagine on the licensee model too, that like if they wanted to use their own like front end brand, they probably could use that.
They're more autonomy as franchisees for sure. Got you, for sure.
Okay, that's cool.
So if a new business owner wanted to, well, if an experienced business owner wanted to like connect with you all, what are the steps? What's the process? I know we talked about actually when they hire you all, but like, how do they find you all? Is it an interview process to even get in the door? Like, what is that process?
Yeah, I mean, we keep it very simple. We offer free consultations just to give an opportunity to talk about your business and what you have going on, to see if it's franchisable. During that free consultation, we'll kind of discuss, hey, is this for you or is this not for you? Yeah. Everything's very simple. We're a Black Box Franchising is our handle. www.blackboxfranchising.com is our website. It's pretty straightforward. And then to be honest, which is really cool because relationships like this where we can come on your podcast, we become on the forefront to know that's an option. And like, hey, let me go see what that looks like.
Yeah. I know we're working on some stuff with you guys. I know Daren taught an amazing class last week or before last.
Okay, that was dope. That was dope. We actually had a few follow calls from some of the class.
You do a lot of entrepreneurs and in our ecosystem, and so that was cool. And then one of the things, I guess, I know you said that 99% of businesses are franchisable, but like, are there any that just stick out? Like, man, like you go franchise anything, like franchise. Any of these just stick out that you've seen that are just like really great businesses to consider franchise, like industries?
Yeah.
Okay.
So food is the easy one, right? Mm-hmm. Food is also one of the highest fail rates.
Yeah, I'm like, why is that the easiest bit? Because like I'm a CPA and I get the books of restaurants. I'm like, dude, like this is one of the hardest businesses, one of the lowest profit margins. So I'm just curious, why is the highest franchise?
So people go into food because it's visual, right? People, you have clients, they see it, they feel, they can touch it. So it's sexy, right? As opposed to something that you're doing, maybe you're on a software company, nobody can see, they may not feel it, taste it. So it feels more tangible. So the most obvious, and this is why it's the most popular franchise, is food. But the sky's the limit in terms of whatever you want to franchise.
What's like the best ones you've seen, like highest margin? Because like we know restaurants that have margins like that. What's like one of the highest margins franchise businesses that you've seen?
I would say certainly like a H&R, like a tax sort of thing, like a fast size. It's a lot of it's usually that initial CapEx.
Yeah.
And that CapEx is low.
Yeah, because it's like put up a door, put up a building, get the people in there, a couple computers, you're done.
And you're good. Keep your overhead low if you're a franchisee and you feel like working there. I don't know. That's what I would want to do. Then your G&A is low, so you're good. So it all depends, right? And you've got these other great models like these McDonald's, but it costs $2 million to build one. A lot of people don't have $3 So, there's franchises you can get in that low cost, medium, and high, just as in children.
We got some really cool brands. We call them emerging franchisors coming down the pipeline. Really cool. Like Wrinkle Free is was that Wrinkle Free? Yeah, Wrinkle Free. Okay. It's a dry cleaning laundry delivery service.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing. Does really well. We've got simple operation. We have OST is a wine and spirit. These are common businesses that we shop at anyway. That now is going to be on the franchise market that people can buy into. Classic daycares, you got a little bit of everything, man. So
also, let me just add one more thing with respect to the money part of it as with respect to franchisee. In that franchise disclosure document I talked about before, item 19, you get to see the financials of the franchisor. You get to see how the franchisees are performing these locations.
Before you get in the display there. Okay. Yeah.
You have to put in all your franchisees' names, numbers, and locations. So prospective franchisees can hit them up and be like, what's the real deal? So they did a fan job of protecting prospective franchisees.
And that would include the franchisor, like the lead or the
yeah.
Okay.
Item 21 is the lead franchisor financials. Item 19 is the franchisees.
But also why you have to have a vested interest in your franchisees doing well, because as you get more franchisees, not just how good you're doing, it's like, well, if I sign up, am I going to do well too?
That's right. Yeah, you saw more of a proof point. Right?
Yeah.
And the higher their AUVs, the higher their average unit volume, the higher your royalty. So we're all at the same interest.
Yeah, all the you get that 50. Like there's always, what do we always say? Amateurs make money on the front end and pros make money in the back end. That's right. So that 30 to 50%. I mean, $30 to $50,000 up front school. That's cute. But the real money is the lifetime 10% top line and out of mind.
10 years at least, and most of them are you if you're doing the right thing.
Come on now. Now, this is the Millionaire Money Show, obviously, and we, super serve people that look like us. I'm assuming the same with Black Box. Yeah. Franchisor, right? So we always ask our guests this question at the end of the show, right? What does being a millionaire mean to you?
I like that. I would say it means that you've gotten to a comfortable point in your life as a Black person. You've made it, whether it's through, it's always going to be through grit. So no matter what way you got here, you got here, right? And you're cognizant about how you spend your money, where to invest your money, and if you have an obligation at this point, right? As a Black person that has made a good amount of money, we have an obligation to pass that education forward. Not just to your children, but to those that are around us. I don't think we, as Black folks, partner enough, and I'm glad that I'm here so that we could do that, talk about that, how we could move the agenda and the ball forward.
For sure. That's a few dope. Look, what about you, Dad? Pretty much the same. I think it's more so you bring the culture with you, who as I say, I'm sitting here with others, and you're constantly sowing, because everything is not just monetary all the time. Sometimes it's just knowing to slow down and like sow into certain people, and obviously help them to kind of come to that next level, whatever that next level is for them. So it's that millionaire mindset, man. Loved it.
Well, we appreciate y'all for coming on the show. I'm excited to learn how, Black Box can, align with Millionaire Money and people who have entrepreneurs who have businesses and looking to franchise and get into the space, or become a franchisor rather. And thank y'all for coming on the show, man. Appreciate your hands, man. Until next time, but peace.